Today, we are exploring a critical intersection of technology and behavioral science, digital nudging. Specifically, we will analyze the economic efficiency of SMS and mobile app based interventions within modern healthcare systems. We will look at how small digital shifts can solve massive economic drains in public health. Moving towards the framework and learning objectives. Our session is divided into three pillars: theoretical framework, the understanding the why behind nudging, finding the theoretical pillars of digital nudging within behavioral economics. Next, we have the interventions, a comparative cost benefit analysis of SMS versus the app based nudges. And lastly, the ethics, evaluating the delicate balance between patient autonomy and systemic efficiency. The intentional behavior gap. First of all, why are we here? The standard health economics often assumes patients are rational actors who always act in their best interest. However, the data tells a different story. 15% of patients with chronic diseases do not adhere to their treatment plans. This isn't just a health failure, it's an economic one. Costing system billions in wasted medication and avoidable ER visits. Health economics often assumes rational actors, yet 50% of patients with chronic disease do not adhere to their treatment plans because of bounded rationality, present bias, and heuristic errors. To fix, we must understand these three psychological barriers. Number one, bounded rationality. We have limited cognitive space and we simply forgot. Second is the present bias. We choose the immediate ease of not taking a pill over the long term gains of health. And thirdly, we have the heuristic errors. Our decisions are often reactionary based on our immediate environment rather than data. This creates intention behavior gap, the space where patients want to be healthy but fail to be accountable. Now we have part one, SMS based interventions. We often look for high tech solutions, but SMS remains the low hanging fruit of digital health. It harnesses ubiquitous connectivity for incredibly low cost delivery. But why SMS works? The low hanging fruit. SMS is uniquely effective for three reasons. The universal reach. It doesn't require a multiple dollar smartphone or a data plan. The high open rates. 98% of SMS messages are read within 3 minutes. And lastly, the temporal precision. We can time a nudge to the exact medication window or hour of an appointment. From an economic perspective, the marginal cost is nearly zero. By looking at the economics of SMS versus the alternatives, phone calls have high labor costs. Meanwhile, the post mail have medium material costs. And lastly, the SMS reminders, which are nearly zero marginal cost. Comparative marginal delivery cost for interventions in a standard health system. We have the behavioral mechanism, salience, and social norming. How do we frame these messages? One is salience. We make the task prominent in the user's mind right when they need to act. Second, the social norming. Instead of saying go get your shot, we say 9 out of 10 people in your area are already vaccinated. And lastly, the loss aversion. We frame the message around what they lose by missing the appointment rather than what they gain. Framing nudges around what is lost by the inaction rather than what is gained. Now we have a case study, the vaccine adherence. Consider a scenario involving low HPV vaccine uptake. By implementing a three-part SMS sequence, a reminder, a location map, and social nudges, researchers saw a 22% increase in second dose completion. This significantly reduces the cost of no shows and improve low-term immunity rates. The impact of scaling SMS nudges. After the launch and after the 6 months and 2 years, you can see the impact of scaling. It peaked right after the 2 years. Reduction in appointment, no showing rates following the implementation of automated SMS nudges. Mobile app interventions. Moving beyond simple reminders to immersive interactive choice architectures, mobile apps, uh, while SMS is transactional app, allow for a rich data ecosystem. Mobile health app choice architecture. Rich data ecosystem versus the active choice models. App integrate real-time biometrics like steps, heart rates, sleep to deliver nudges that are hyper-personalized and context-aware. Meanwhile, the active choice models forcing a decision through pop-ups rather than letting users ignore notifications, effectively breaking system one habits. The gamifications as a nudge. The real driver here is gamification, streaks, and badges. Gamification turns mundane health habits into rewarding micro experiences using behavioral triggers. The streaks and badges tapping into the endowment effect and loss aversion. These tap into the endowment effect. Users don't want to lose a 30-day streak. The leaderboards, we leverage social competitions. And lastly, the immediate feedback. We tighten the loop between actions and rewards. This will engage the economy. The future AI and just-in-time nudges. The next frontier is AI. Imagine geofencing sending a nudge for a healthy salad when the user is physically near a grocery store, or predictive AI that forecasts when a patient is likely to forget their meds based on their past routine. We can use dynamic framing, where the app switches from loss aversion to gain framing based on which one the user responds to better. So these are the three AI uses and then just-in-time nudges that will help us in the future. The geofencing, like second, sending a healthy choice nudge when the user is physically near a grocery store or gym, or the predictive AI, which forecasts when a patient is most likely to forget meds based on past behavioral patterns. And lastly, the dynamic framing, automatically switching from loss aversion to gain framing depending on the user response. The impact on physical activity. We have case study number 2, diabetes management. Look at the economic impact in diabetes management in a 12-month study. The app nudge group saw a 1.2% reduction in HbA1c compared to 0.4% in the standard care. Medication adherence jumped from 62% to 89%. And most importantly, annual ER visits dropped by two-thirds, resulting in an average saving of $3,400 per patient. This is a comparison of control groups versus the app-based nudge groups over the 12 months. Next we have is the brainstorming session. How would you design a digital nudge to reduce prescription opioid misuse using a patient's smartphone? Consider framing, time, and privacy. How would you design a digital nudge to reduce prescription opioid misuse? Think about time, the framing of a message, and the privacy concerns. How do we nudge without being intrusive? Now we have the economic trade-offs in digital policy. The personalization paradox and equity. These are the trade-offs. Better nudges require more data, creating a personalization paradox. Too much surveillance leads to psychological reactance, users rebelling against the app because they feel watched. Furthermore, we must avoid the digital health divide. If we only use high-end apps, we favor the wealthy and tech-savvy, leaving the elderly or underprivileged behind. These are the equity concerns because reliance on high-end smartphone apps may create a digital health divide, but favoring that will favor high-income populations over the elderly or the underprivileged. Next we have is nudge and sludge. Nudge versus sludge. When does a nudge become unethical choice manipulation? A nudge is ethical if has transparency. The user knows they're being nudged. Easy OPT out. It's not a nudge if you can't say no beneficence. It serves the patient, not just the insurer's profit, and the sludge is the opposite, making it intentionally hard to cancel or OPT out. So in nudge versus sludge, there's transparency, like the user must be aware that their choice environment is being curated. Secondly, the easy OPT out. A nudge is only a nudge if the non-choice is still easy accessible. The beneficence, the nudge must clearly serve the user's interest, not the insurer's profit alone. But the sludge, excessive friction that makes it hard for people to achieve their goals. For example, complex cancellation buttons. Intervention comparison summary. Data requirement, SMS reminders versus the mobile health apps. Target audience, in SMS reminders, universal and lower SES, while the mobile apps, tech-savvy and smartphone users. Second we have is the complexity. My SMS reminders has low complexity, simple text. Meanwhile, the apps have high and interaction like AI, tools, models, that is a bit complex. Third is we have the minimal phone number, high SMS reminders, biometrics, behavior, but nothing in the health app. Third is engagement, but fourth is engagement level. In SMS reminders, it's transactional, and in health app, it's immersive. For the best use for SMS reminders are best used for medications and appointments. Meanwhile, health apps are used for behavior change, exercise, and lifestyle. Now we will be moving to the MCQs part. Which economic concept explains why SMS nudges are often prioritized in public health budgets? Option A is opportunity cost of patient time. Option B is low marginal cost of delivery at scale. And option C is higher marginal utility of text over voice. So our answer is number B, low marginal cost of delivery at scale. Next we have is question number 2. An app that makes unsubscribing difficult is an example of what behavioral concept? Number A, positive reinforcement. Number B, libertarian paternalism. Number C, choice sludge, friction. Answer is number C, choice sludge, friction. So, to summarize, SMS is the best for universal reach, lower income population, and simple medication reminders, versus apps are best for tech-savvy users, complex behavior changes, and high engagement lifestyle goals. One is transactional, the other is immersive.